everyone to this regular meeting of Smith Falls Town Council for Monday, October 3rd, 2022. On October 3rd, 2022, we acknowledge that the sacred land of which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I've got a couple of announcements today. I just want to take a moment to thank the community, as well as members of our Racism and Discrimination Task Force and our Economic Development team at Town Hall for our Every Child Matters Truth and Reconciliation event last Friday night. To the speakers who participated, shared their stories, to everyone who participated in the walk, members of council were there as well. A very heartwarming and appropriate event, and we believe it's so critically important that we continue to inform our community, that people have the opportunity to come out and listen and understand, in order that we can all make sure we do our best part to play a role in reconciliation and help in any way we possibly can moving forward. Also want to take a moment to thank the DBA, and we have one person here who is our council rep on the DBA, Councillor Alford, who was also very instrumental in organizing Back on Back With at a fabulous event on Saturday. I think all of us were there in various capacities through various times of the day, and obviously by the turnout, it was extremely well received. I think people were highly entertained. People had a wonderful time. The lineup for kids getting either face painting or balloons or nails painted or whatever. It was very well done, right from first thing from 10 in the morning until things wrap up about 10 at night. So thank you to the DBA board, to Nora, to everyone, all the volunteers who made this possible. And everyone I talked to said, is this going to be an annual event? And I told them, yeah, so we got to follow through with that. Anyway, I'll ask for disclosure of monetary interest. I don't see any. No delegations. We have no adoption of minutes. Reports. Must be a few reports. Who would like to go first? Councillor Brennan.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great event on Saturday, and on Sunday, I just wanted to report there was another event at the Heritage House, their fall fun day, which I attended and barbecued with my friend Gary Lackey. They had over 800 people attend, and so with the help of community volunteers, they had a great family event that was affordable. They had wagon rides, they had a petting zoo, a bouncy castle, and of course a barbecue that was sold out thanks to Gary. So it was a really beautiful day and such a great setting at the Heritage House. So we had fun. And also with the Heritage House, I want to mention that last week the Heritage House hosted 124 German guests, and they went through town and they took them over to the Old Size Lock as well. And then October 12th, there's going to be another 150 of them come. So we're attracting visitors from Europe, which is, as we all know, has been happening all summer, but 3 busloads of them were through. And also finally, it's haunting season, as we know, and the ghost walks are beginning on Wednesday, and they're by appointment. So if anybody wants to book a ghost walk, which is pretty spooky, call 283-6311. So that's my report on the Heritage House. I do have an announcement later.
Sure. Thank you. For the reports. Yes, Councillor Alford.
I'm not going to repeat anything that you said, Mayor Banco, about Back on Back With, except from the board's perspective, we decided to do this for 3 very specific goals. One was to get us on the list, our downtown on the list in surrounding communities, particularly the 2 cities that were not very far from Kingston and Ottawa, and entice them to see our downtown as a day trip. And I think for certainly some of the conversations I had, and since I've heard since, there was people from Brockville, Southwestern Ontario, Kingston, Ottawa. So I think it did. Also, the goal was to help our restaurants get a good start into the winter coming up, and help with the recovery of those particular businesses downtown. So I have heard anecdotally that by about 9 o'clock, there was no food left in any of the restaurants, although they made do with grilled cheeses, which tells me that it accomplished what we wanted to. It's why we decided not to bring food trucks into the downtown core. Now, I would also say that the other thing that DBA hoped to accomplish was to set the stage for a summer festival. We had this one in October because it coincided with Beckwith Street construction, but I can see this being a focus for a day or weekend event sometime next August and forever after. That's how Settlers Days got started. It came out of an old home week celebration, and this could be the catapult to get us a summer festival, which we do really need. Also, I'm sure that our chair and Nora will speak to this cooperation and collaboration we got from this town staff. We could not have pulled some of those things, like getting that stage onto Beckwith Street, or getting those twinkle lights fixed, or a few other things that we ran into in the days leading up. So very appreciative, and I'm sure they will hear more particularly from the chair, but those were the goals. And sitting back and looking at it now, I think the board, and certainly our chair and our coordinator, feel that we accomplished what we started out to do.
Wonderful, thank you. Additional reports? Yes, Councillor McKenna.
I'm okay. Just the public health board meeting happened last Thursday. We unveiled 2 plaques, one in Smith Falls and one in Brockville, in recognition of Dr. Stewart's retirement. There's 2 beautiful large trees that the board arranged, and the board paid for the plaques out of their own pocket. And Dr. Lee presented at the board meeting, and she's encouraging people to go out and get their fall booster. They aren't counting them anymore, so this isn't booster number 1 or number 2. This is your fall booster. They're thinking that we're going to live well with COVID and with influenza. So just as your flu shot comes up every year, your booster will happen on a routine basis going forward. So they're really, I guess, stop counting and just get vaccinated for influenza and that. They have released their annual report. It is not in print copy. It's all online, healthunit.org, and you'll see just how busy and phenomenal the work is of our local health unit. And I think that's all. Dr. Lee is settling in. She is still looking for opportunities to come and visit. So if you have an event or think of a great restaurant you want her to come to, she wants to get out and visit all parts of Lanark, Leeds, Grenville. So it would be nice. Always keep her in mind. She's quite amenable. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional reports? Oh, you're back. Another one, Wendy?
Well, I forgot. It was a busy weekend. I forgot to mention the Parkette opening. Manager Crowder's not with us tonight, but the grant that funded the mural and the street furniture and all the work that went on there was actually applied for by a partnership between the town and the DBA. And it was a $98,000 grant. And Julia and our coordinator opened that, and our chair opened that on Saturday. And most of the feedback is completely positive in terms of it being a sort of really energizing that space that was so long just pretty boring. So I just didn't want to, congratulations to Manager Crowder who steered the thing, but it is quite being received quite well by the community.
Yes, thank you very much. I've got a few reports myself. September 21st, our Housing Advisory Committee held its final meeting of this term of council. Basically, we went through the completion of what is 17 recommendations coming out of the Housing Task Force. And essentially, although some are still in the works, they will be completed in the not too so distant future. Other things that have been completed. So I just want to highlight a few things which really the work of an incredible group of people, of course, with the support of staff and a lot of work by staff behind the scenes as well, but things like a reduction in parking requirements. And we may all recall that Cambridge did apply for a reduction to reduce the parking numbers for 44 chambers. And what that means in many cases is an opportunity to have more density on a particular site. So that was one. Secondary dwellings, of course, the additional residential unit policy has been developed, and a guide has been developed as well. And that guide will soon be available to the public to try and help guide our citizens, our homeowners, in how they can easily navigate the process to add an additional residential unit to their home. The Attainable Housing CIP, of course, there's an open house, I believe, tomorrow night for our CIP. That was something else that came out of the Housing Task Force and Advisory Committee, and we believe it is something that will create some uptake when there's incentives for developers or to add attainable housing and some money to help them do that. This should hopefully make a difference. The use of town-owned land for affordable or attainable housing. Of course, we have that on our agenda tonight with our MOU with Cambridge. Workshops for tenants. That is something that was done in late 2021, I believe it was. Really led to some really positive results. And I've had feedback from people in our community who either viewed it that day or since viewed it on YouTube. And it's made an incredible difference for them. It's enabled them to connect with legal aid when needed. It's enabled them to understand their rights. And in many cases, enabled them to stay in a home when they were otherwise may have been evicted for maybe some not the right reasons in some cases. Also, amendments to a zoning bylaw to enable and encourage more affordable housing, also in place as a new zoning bylaw brought forward, looked after that. And then finally, another big one with partnerships with NFPs, not-for-profits. And of course, 44 chambers is as a result of that, and the additional one, the project now planned for Robinson Avenue being the second. So I want to express my gratitude to every member of the Housing Task Force, as well as those who participated for a couple of years in the Housing Advisory Committee to move this agenda forward and to try to do what we can to ensure that every citizen in our community can someday have a home they can afford. On September 27th, I attended the hospital board meeting, and I think everyone is aware that the hospital had to temporarily close its obstetrics unit, birthing unit, due to some staffing challenges. And that again, a temporary situation, but just for if any expectant mothers are watching, that doesn't mean you just hop in the car and drive to Ottawa or somewhere else. If you're in labor, our emergency department is still very well prepared to manage those situations, but there will be a temporary closure there for about 2 weeks. And on the 28th, the hospital held a staff appreciation lunch. The Smith Falls site on the 28th, the Perth site on the 27th, and we contributed some dollars to that, not a significant amount of money, but to express our gratitude to the frontline workers, our hospital workers through the pandemic, and the challenges they continue to face. The town of Perth, Smith Falls, and the hospital brought in a food truck to each site, and staff were given an opportunity to have a nice meal on the 27th to the 28th and 28th. And I received a nice email from President CEO Michael Coleman today, just expressing his gratitude to us for supporting that initiative. On the 28th, and Councillor Brennan, I guess he didn't speak to it, but I attended the 100th anniversary celebration of our Rotary Club, and what an incredible group of people. It's hard to imagine a service club continuing on and serving our community for 100 years now. And some members, I think the longest I remember, I believe, is 60 years, if I'm not mistaken, at this stage, who's currently serving. There's over 50 years. Just a remarkable contribution, and it was really encouraging to see a number of new members identified that night. That gives us great confidence that the success the Rotary Club has had in the past will continue into the future. And Councillor Brennan, if you want to take a moment and say a few more words, feel free.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd do that, so thank you. But yes, indeed, with the Rotary Club has reinvented itself, and actually the longest serving member of the Rotary Club is Clayton Holbrook, and who I dig because we're both, that's the year I was born and Clayton joined the club. So, but yeah, it was a great night, and thank you for coming. And our MVP John Jordan was there as well, and you know, I'm really excited about the future of Rotary, and thank you for mentioning that, Mayor.
No problem. The 29th, Councillor McGuire and I both participated in the Police Service Board meeting. Nothing really to report from that. On the 30th, I was pleased to participate in the first anniversary and official grand opening of Big Burrito Tackle on Rockville Street, and great to see Peter having a great first year and see him continue on with the best success for the future. CEO Morris mentioned we had a great celebration in the fire hall on Friday afternoon for Lieutenant Randy Normandin and his retirement, and obviously a very stellar career and an incredible commitment to the community. And all those nights of pager going off, and I'm sure no hesitation, the first one to respond and probably the last one to leave, and just an overall great guy, and he certainly will be missed. And this morning, the Lanark County, I participated in the Lanark County Climate Action Committee meeting, and if anyone has a chance to go to the Lanark County website and look at the agenda, there's a few, we had a few delegations today and great discussion today, but I think it will help guide our future council's actions when it as it relates to a climate action committee of our own. A lot of discussion on organic waste management. We had a presentation from a company in Ottawa that deals with organic waste. Of course, the town of Perth does curbside organic collection, and so great insight there, as well as deep insight into the affordability and cost efficiency, as well as environmentally friendliness of heat pumps, especially air source heat pumps, and how it would be great if we could someday, in the not so distant future, get all future development to use air source heat pumps, primarily in town, the air source, instead of natural gas, help us lower our carbon footprint, make sure we do our part, because over the operating life of either of these systems, they are cheaper, more efficient than using natural gas or other heating methods. So some great information there and great work by the Climate Action Committee of Lanark County. And that's it for my reports. There's a fair amount of business to look after this evening. We're going to start with Councillor Brennan, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dwyer, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreement with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14 TSG 010 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan and seconded by Councillor Dwyer, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreement with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-010 be received for the first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, I'll try not to butcher this. We're entering into a new phase of recycling collection, and there's a not-for-profit or a arm's length agency called Circular Materials of Ontario that will be funding this in the future, I believe 2025. So this is going to bridge us until that date, and it's really once that comes, it's a producer paid thing, so we're going to save money in the end, but this will bridge us into that transition as far as I can tell.
Yeah, thank you. Any further discussion? Have a third reading, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dwyer, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreement with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14 PSG 010 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 103/77/2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan and seconded by Councillor Dwyer, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreement with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-010 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10377-2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Councillor Dwyer, you have the next bylaw.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a funding agreement with Circular Materials of Ontario be received and read a first time and taken and read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dwyer, second by Councillor Brennan. The bylaw to authorize execution of a funding agreement with Circular Materials of Ontario in bracket CMO be received, read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Dwyer?
Thank you, Mayor Pankow. So as Councillor Brennan alluded to, we are moving away to a producer responsible model for recycling. The purpose of this bylaw is to help us with that transition by providing us with a funding contract with CMO to move into that new version of recycling that we will soon come to love.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Your Worship. I really am excited about the producers taking responsibility for the costs of this going forward. I'm really hoping that when they are bearing the costs, that they're looking at their packaging and we can actually see a reduction in the kind of material they're using. I know it's to the municipalities that borne the cost of the recycling to date. And it wasn't just about the cost, but it was how do we get producers to put some controls or limits on the kind of packaging and the volume of it. So this is a two-pronged and I'm really happy to see it. It can't come soon enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And I tend to agree that I think once the burden is placed on those producers, the amount of waste will be reduced dramatically. Any further comments? May I have a third reading, please?
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a funding agreement with Circular Materials of Ontario be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10378-2022.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a funding agreement with Circular Materials of Ontario in bracket CMO be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10378-2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And Councillor Alford, you're up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of extension agreements with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-009 and 14-PSG-011 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Alford and seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreements with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-009 and 14-PSG-011 be received read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Discussion, please.
Well, if memory serves, this was a companion piece in terms of what the bylaw that both Councillor Dwyer and Councillor Brennan spoke of. But this is specifically about extending it and lining it up for the provision of our waste containers by the town's own, so that all the contracts would come due just about the same time. On the September 26th Committee of the Whole, Director McMunn outlined that there was two parts to it. One was the one that Councillor Dwyer and Councillor Brennan have said, and the second one is about the provision of the waste, namely dumpsters, within the town of Smith Falls.
Thank you. Any further comments? You may have a third reading, please.
Certainly. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of extension agreements with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-009 and 14-PSG-011 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10379-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Alford, second by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of an extension agreements with Glenview Iron and Metal respecting contract 14-PSG-009 and 14-PSG-011 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10379-2022. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Councillor McGuire, I believe you have the next bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Allen that a bylaw to confirm the meetings of council at its meeting held on the 19th of September 2022 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire and seconded by Councillor Allen that a bylaw to confirm the meetings of council at its meetings held on the 19th of September 2022 be received, read a first time, and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor McGuire.
Purely procedural.
Thank you. Third reading, please.
That a bylaw to confirm the meetings of council at its meeting held on the 19th of September 2022 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10380-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire and seconded by Councillor Allen that a bylaw to confirm the meetings of council at its meeting held on the 19th of September 2022 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10380-2022. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Councillor McKenna, you have the next bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Alfred that a bylaw to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with Carebridge Community Support be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna and seconded by Councillor Alfred that a bylaw to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with Carebridge Community Support be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, please.
Yes, Your Worship. This is the property on Robinson Avenue that the town has taken possession of for back taxes. And we are proposing to gift this to Carebridge Community Support for the building of affordable housing units on that lot. The terms of this memorandum of understanding at a high level are once the transfer will go forward, once Carebridge has actually got the funding to build in place, the town will recover all of its hard costs, legal surveying, those kind of things from Carebridge. They will, one of the other conditions is that they will secure a site plan for that property by September 2024 and occupancy no later than September 2026. That's stretched out a little bit. They feel that they can do it sooner, but that gives them some breathing space in between. And the other is that this agreement would not take place if Carebridge, for some reason, was unable to secure the funds. The town, in making this gift for $1, will write off about $71,000 in back taxes for this. So this is exciting news. There's a housing theme going on tonight, and I'm sure all of us are really excited about Carebridge developing that once they get their Chambers Street property going.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? May I have a third reading, please?
So again, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Alfred that a bylaw to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with Carebridge Community Support be now read a third time and finally passed, signed and sealed and numbered 10381-2022.
Thank you. It is moved by Councillor McKenna and seconded by Councillor Alfred that a bylaw to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with Carebridge Community Support be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10381-2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Councillor McGuire.
Your Worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that a bylaw to lift part lot control provisions respecting blocks 1 and 2 of Registered Plan 27M-102 be read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire and seconded by Councillor McKenna that a bylaw to lift part lot control provisions respecting blocks 1 and 2 of Registered Plan 27M-102 be read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor McGuire.
This is an important part of the process at the Bellamy Farms. Thanks to staff for all the effort that's gone into making sure things are moving quickly and smoothly, and hopefully those homes will be occupied soon.
Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have a third reading, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to lift part lot control provisions respecting blocks 1 and 2 of registered plan 27M-102 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10382-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire and seconded by Councillor McKenna. That a bylaw to lift part lot control provisions respecting blocks 1 and 2 of registered plan 27M-102 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10382-2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So that's it for our bylaws. We have a few motions to look after this evening. Our first one is with Councillor Allen, please.
Yes, award of tender, Hillcrest Cemetery Columbarium. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McGuire that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls award tender 22CS007 for the Hillcrest Cemetery Columbarium to Costello and Company for the bid price of $35,637.37, including non-refundable HST.
Thank you. Discussion, please, Councillor Allen.
Yes, we had 3 people put proposals for tenders. However, Nelson Granite had the lowest qualifying bid, but their product was not going to be available for the spring of 2023. And the niches remaining for sale, Costello and Company provided a bid that was $1,496.89 higher, but have the unit available to install upon ordering. And it was felt with the limited number of niches available for the public, it would be beneficial to have the units installed quickly. And that's why we're moving forward with that bid.
Thank you. Any further discussion? It's moved by Councillor Allen and seconded by Councillor McGuire. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls award tender 22-CS-007 for the Hillcrest Cemetery Columbarium to Costello and Company for a bid price of $35,637.37, including non-refundable HST. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Councillor McKenna, I believe you have the next motion.
Yes, thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Alfred that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls hereby dissolves the Transportation Advisory Committee and the Economic Development Advisory Committee at the end of the 2018-2022 term of council.
Thank you. Discussion, please.
Yes, council last week took a look at the 30 or so committees, task force, advisory committees, etc., to see, not unlike any corporation, you tend to add and you rarely stop and take a look and take things off. You just keep adding. So we found that these 2 in particular, 2 committees and advisory committees, could be served better through staff involvement. And we looked at all of the committees and task forces. Staff were asked to update some of the terms of reference going forward to some of them. And some of them will be looked at by the new council. And if I could, Your Worship, I will take a plug now to encourage members of the public to look at when the next council puts out a call for participating on these. These are really important work groups and task force. Please consider joining them. They're interesting work. It's important work. And the town needs you to get involved. So thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I'm not going to support this. I think that I know we spent an hour and a half talking about 30 committees, but it needs a more in-depth dive. These 2 that we're cutting, I don't agree with, and I think that we need to give the new council an opportunity to work with the structure that we have, maybe for 6 months or 8 months, and take a deep dive into them as we did with the procedural bylaws. So I won't be supporting it, and I would call for a recorded vote, please.
Certainly. Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Alford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what I understand Councillor Brennan's aversion to cutting anything at this, but I will say, and as we discussed at the committee of the whole, this is a unique group who has just finished 4 years experience of working on these committees or not working on these committees, being involved with all of them. So in fact, I see it differently, that we are trying to position the next council to be more successful in terms of some of this committee work and not overburden or and because this doesn't just involve council, this involves staff representation as well. So I will be supporting it wholeheartedly. The next council can certainly make other changes and probably will. And we have left somewhat of a roadmap to advise them of what is possible. So I will be supporting it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Anything further? It is moved by Councillor McKenna and seconded by Councillor Alford. The Council of the Corporation of Town of Smith Falls hereby dissolves the Transportation Advisory Committee and the Economic Development Advisory Committee at the end of 2018-2022 term of council. The recorded vote has been requested.
With respect to miscellaneous motion 8.2, please state yay or nay. Mayor Panko,
Yay.
Councillor Alford,
Yay.
Councillor Allen,
Yay.
Councillor Brennan,
Nay.
Councillor Dwyer,
Yay.
Councillor McGuire,
Yay.
Councillor McKenna.
Yay.
This motion is carried.
Thank you. Okay, one more piece of business. Councillor Dwyer, please. And your little helper there.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought you said McGuire. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan, that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls authorize the 2023 pre-budget approval in the amount of $20,000 for the lease of a vehicle for the bylaw enforcement / animal control service.
Thank you. Discussion, please.
Thank you. So we found out just earlier this evening that our poor bylaw staff have been without a vehicle to use to transport, in particular, animals to our shelter location, which all in all is very sad. But it also means that they have had to rely on their own personal vehicles to do so. And as I sit here with my very angry cat on my lap, I can tell you that traveling in subpar conditions with an angry animal is less than ideal. So we are pleased to be able to authorize pre-budget approval during a vehicle shortage, I will add, to ensure that our bylaw staff have a proper vehicle so that they can do their jobs without risk of being clawed by a grumpy cat.
Thank you. Any further comments? It is moved by Councillor Dwyer and seconded by Councillor Brennan. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls authorized 2023 pre-budget approval in the amount of $20,000 for the lease of a vehicle for the bylaw enforcement / animal control. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Inquiries or announcements? Councillor Brennan, I believe you had something.
I do, and I'm going to put a challenge out to my council colleagues, and I hope you all are willing and able to participate. So it's related to the Heritage House. That we have a community pumpkin carving contest coming up, and so I've arranged for a special council section of that contest if everyone's willing, and you could do a self-portrait. You could do your favorite sports team, maybe the Blue Jays, I don't know. But drop them off by October 20th, and I'm sure that the Heritage House will have a special section for us. And they had actually pumpkins on Sunday at the Family Fun Day, and they were donated. And thank you to Miller Bay Farm for donating pumpkins for people to pick up and participate in this contest. So it's haunting season, so do your best, Council. I'll have, like, you have the triangled eyes and then the nose and the 2 teeth or whatever, but do your best.
Can I call a friend? Can I phone a friend?
Well, you could use a stencil, I guess. If you want.
Okay, the challenge is on. Thank you, Councillor Brennan. Councillor Allen.
What's the date for that, Councillor Brennan?
You've got to have it in by October 20th.
Okay, thank you.
So drop it off before then.
I'm sure yours will be spectacular, Lorraine.
done a few hundred.
Okay, any other inquiries or announcements? Motion for adjournment is with Councillor Brennan.
Sorry, moved by myself, second by Councillor Dwyer. That this council adjourn its proceedings at 6:18 and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan and seconded by Councillor Dwyer. This council adjourns proceedings at 6:18 p.m. and stand so adjourned until next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We are adjourned.